Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with lesson number 10, the Homework Solution edition of our incredible new tutorial series where you're going to learn artificial intelligence or you're going to die trying. What I'm going to need you to do is pour yourself a nice strong cup of iced coffee. That is straight up black coffee poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your support and your encouragement that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, look down in the description. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and let's talk about what I am going to teach you today. What your homework assignment for today was to take what you learned on processing mouse clicks and mouse events and create a region of interest in OpenCV based on mouse action alone. And what you were supposed to do is the upper left corner of your region of interest was going to be defined when you did the left mouse button down, and then you're to drag over to the bottom right corner, and then when you let the mouse button up, that is to be the other corner of your region of interest, and then you were supposed to launch a separate little window showing that region of interest off to the side. Then you were also supposed to, with the right mouse button, use that to kill the region of interest if you needed to do that. Okay, so that was the assignment, and that's what we are going to do. And what I will need you to do now is fire up the most excellent Visual Studio Code. We are going to come over here and we are going to create a new program. We are going to create a new program. I guess I better get out of your way and get a view that you can see here. Okay, let's try this again. So what I need you to do is launch the most excellent Visual Studio Code, and then we are going to come over here. And we're going to go to the little page with the plus to create a new program. And this is going to be OpenCV 12.py. And the .py is kind of important. And boom, we've got ourselves a fresh new Python program just waiting to be written. Now, we don't want to start from scratch. We're going to start with that core program that launches our webcam just so that we don't have to do that bookkeeping week after week. And you can find that if you go to our website, www.toptechboy.com. And with this happy little search bar here, you can search on the term faster launch of webcam, and that should bring you to this lesson. This little snippet of code here you can get by clicking on the two pages, come over, right mouse click and copy. And then you can come over here, right mouse click and paste. And now, just to make sure that we can have the universe in proper order and that we can copy and paste without breaking something, we're going to come in and go ahead and run that. And it does what we expect. We get a webcam window and everything is copacetic just like we would expect. Okay, so now what are we going to do? We are going to create a region of interest based on clicking, dragging, and releasing the mouse. All right, this should be pretty straightforward. If you guys were able to do it, leave a comment down below. I am legend. And if you were not able to do it, leave the comment. I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Okay, were you legend or were you a cheap Walmart lawn chair? Okay, so to do this, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create that little mouse callback that will be sitting and listening for a mouse click. And we do that right above the while loop. We are going to do cv2.setMouse, and you can see it's already trying to guess its set mouse callback. Make sure you get the capitalization, the case correct, because it is case sensitive. And then what are we going to do? We're going to put it on the main video window, which is my webcam, right? Because we define that down here. We define that down here. So we're going to be listening for a mouse click over that window. And then if there is a mouse click, what do? Well, we execute the function mouse click. All right. Now, what two problems do we have right now? One is we call the function mouse click, but we haven't defined it yet, so we need to define that. And the other is at the point that your program hits this line of code, you have not yet defined a window called My Webcam. It is defined down here. So we need to do that before you get to that set mouse callback, or your program will crash. And we can do that just real simply with CV2 dot named window, and that named window is going to be My Webcam, like that. Okay, and all that does is that just creates the window. There's no picture in it. It just creates it so that OpenCV knows that that's going to be your window. Now we got to take care of this little business here where we have called a function called mouse click, but we haven't defined it yet. So we're going to do this up here at the top right after our print CV2 version. We are going to define def. What are we going to define? Mouse click, just because we have not done that yet. And now this set mouse callback, when it calls mouse click, it's going to pass some stuff to it. It's going to pass some parameters. So we've got to grab those parameters. The first parameter is what is the event? What is the event? What is the mouse event that led to the call? Then what was the X position of the mouse with the call? And what was the Y position of the mouse when the mouse event occurred? And those are the three things we're going to use. But then there's also two other things that are passed that we're not going to use, but we got to grab them nonetheless. And so one we'll just call flags. We're not going to use it. And parameters, we're not going to use it. Okay, so now we've got, this is the function that we go to when the mouse does something when it's over the My Webcam window. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we want to kind of look for two different things. There is if event equal CV2 dot event. And what do we want to look for? L button, event L button. Oh, event. No wonder. I was wondering why it wasn't trying to guess. Event L button down. L button down. That's the thing that we're going to look for. All right. Now, if the left button is pressed down, the main thing is we need to snag the position of it, okay? And so what we can do is we can go ahead and just print what the event is, just because that's always good. And now we're going to define a point 1 is going to be equal to a tuple. You can think of it as a little array of an X value and a Y value. Well, what is the X value we want? Well, it's X position and Y position. So when the left mouse button is pressed down, the set mouse callback is going to call mouse click. It is going to come up here to mouse click, and then if the event that led to the call was the left button down, then we're going to end up inside this if statement, and we are going to snag point 1, which is the upper left corner of our region of interest, which is X position, comma, Y position. Now the problem is this PNT1 is inside of this function, so the rest of the program is not going to know what it is. It's a local variable. So for it to be accessible to the rest of the program, we better make global PNT1. Okay, now the thing is, we don't really need to do anything else because we grabbed that point, which is all we wanted. It's the upper left corner of our box. That's all we really want. We don't have to do anything else because eventually you're going to have to let that button off, and when you let that button off, then we'll have the second mouse event and we'll capture the second point. But what you can see is that we're going to need 2 points, and so we're going to need another global PNT2. All right, and PNT2 we are going to snag when? We are going to snag if event equal CV2 dot event underscore L, not L button down, but this time L button up. All right, and I keep putting 2 points there. This is one big goat rodeo here, isn't it? CV2 dot event left button up. So what do we do when the left button comes up? Well, let's just go ahead and print the event just in case we need to know that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get point 2, and point 2 is going to be equal to the X position and the Y position associated with that second mouse event. So the first mouse event is the left button going down, and we grab 0.1, and then the second mouse event is left button popping up, and then we grab 0.2. And there's no way that we could let it up before we pressed it down. So I think this is a fairly robust little algorithm that we are coming up with here. Now we better go ahead and make global EVT the event, and then here we can say EVT is equal to EVNT. So now the local variable event goes into the global variable EVT, so the rest of the program will have access to it, and we'll do the same thing here, EVT equal event. And that way now when we're in the main loop down there, we kind of know what is going on, if that makes sense. Okay, now if we remember that left button down, that is event 4. And so we want to start looking for that, right? We want to start looking for that. Or is that? No. I think mouse down is 1, mouse up is 4. All right. So let's look at that and just make sure that I am right. So I'm going to go left mouse button down, and we get an event 1. If you look over there to the left down there, it printed a 1. And then when I let the mouse button up, it prints a 4. And so what we know is, when do we draw the rectangle? We don't want to draw the rectangle when we press left button down. We don't want to draw the rectangle when we press left button down. Why? Because we don't know what the other corner is. We wait. When it goes down, we grab PNT1. When it comes up, we grab PNT2. Now we're ready to draw the rectangle. So we'll start just by drawing a rectangle, then we'll come back and we'll actually make a region of interest. But let's come down here, and what we do is we say that if EVT equal what the mouse up when we release that is EVT4, what do we do? Well, let's just put a rectangle there just to see if we can. So we can say CV2.rectangle, and then where do we want to put the rectangle? Well, we want to put it on our frame. And then what is the upper left? The upper left point of our rectangle is going to be PNT1. And then what is the lower right going to be? It is going to be PNT2. Okay, and now we need to give it a color, and so let's make it a red. Let's make it red, so that would be blue is 0, and then green is 0, and red is 255, like that. And then how thick do we want the box? Let's make it a thickness of, say, 2. And I think that will be pretty good. So now what this should be is that I should press the button down, and that's the upper left corner of my region of interest. I should drag it, let it up, and that will be the lower right corner of the rectangle, and then it should just draw a rectangle, if I am thinking about this right. Let's go. Denied. Okay, what is wrong? That before you ever press a mouse key, You have never been in this function mouse click, and because we've never been in this function mouse click, we don't know what EVT is. And so when I'm looking here, when the first frame is made, it's trying to see what EVT is. It hasn't seen it yet. So I just need to seed that variable EVT equals 0, just so it has a value, just so the variable is created. Hope that makes sense. So now let's run it and see what happens. I need to kill the old program, and now I need to run it. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to press the left mouse button down. I'm holding it, I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to release it, and boom, region of interest, with my head in it, my noggin in the region of interest. Okay, so now we can quit that. So we kind of got our mouse business working right, but now besides just drawing the rectangle, we want to create that region of interest now. So this is where we have to think a little bit more. So we create the rectangle. That is all well and good, but now I need to create the region of interest. And the region of interest is going to be based on the frame, but it's not the whole frame, right? It is from some, remember, some starting row to some finishing row, starting row, colon, finishing row, and then comma, starting column, colon, ending column. All right, now you got to think about that. So what is the region of interest? What is the starting row? Well, that is the first y value. Okay, that's the first y value, and then the second y value. Remember, in treating the frame as an array, it goes rows first and then columns, not x and then y. And so it's that little quirky thing that is reversed. And so what would this actually be? Well, we want to go to our first point, PNT1, and then in PNT1, which value of the two values is the row value? It's the second one. The first one is the 0th value, and then the 1 value. So it would be PNT1. And that's actually the second number, because the first number is the 0 position. You guys should know that by now. So we go from 0.11, that's the first y value, to PNT2, 1, and that is the second y value. So it goes from the y value of 0.1 to the y value of 0.2. Those are the rows of interest. And now we're going to come up and we are going to go comma, and then it's going to be 0.1. The x value is going to be where? In the 0th position. Okay, and then comma PNT2, and that 0 position as well. Now guys, if you've watched the other lessons, this should be crystal clear, because we really went in and did this. If you're just one of these drive-by shooters that just pops into this lesson and doesn't understand what I'm doing, you need to go back and you need to take the class. You need to look at all the lessons, and this will make perfect sense, because I'm building it piece by piece, step by step, precept by precept. And so if you take the class, you will understand all this stuff, and the class is free. It's free, but you got to put a little work in to actually do it. So I think that that would then, the one mistake I made, this should be a colon here. This one should be a colon. So we go from the y value of the first point to the y value of the second point, and then we go from the x value of the first point to the x value of the second point. That should define the ROI. Now, where should we show the ROI? Should we show it inside this if statement or outside the if statement? We need to show it inside the if statement. We need to show it inside the if statement, because if you try to show it outside and there hasn't been a mouse event, then the program's going to crash. So you only want to show it if you've gotten down in here. So we're going to do a cv2.im show inside the if statement. And what are we going to show? Let's call the window ROI. And then what do we want to show? We want to show the image ROI like that. okay? And now we better move that window or it's going to be behind the other one. So we're going to say move window, and then which window do we want to move? We want to move ROI, and then where do we want to move it? Well, I want to move it over by width, okay? And I'm going to go, watch this, I'm going to say integer of width times 1.1, because I don't want it right against the other one. I want it just a little bit further over, okay? And then why an int? Because any integer value times 1.1 is probably not going to be an integer, and then this command wants an integer, so I've got to kind of make it a little bigger, and then I have to turn it into an int by forcing it. And then I don't need to come down any, I'll just scoot it over, and so 0 should work. Could it be this easy? There's no way it could be this easy. Let's try it and see what happens. We're going to come over here and we are going to run it. And so far so good. So I'm going to come here and I am going to left mouse button down, and I see the event 1 occurred. Now I'm going to drag over my face, and now I'm going to release it. And then I have event 4. I box myself and boom, look at it, region of interest, a second window. Who's your huckleberry? I'm your huckleberry. Look at that. Okay, so we got that thing working. Were you guys able to do this on your own? I hope so, because I think I showed you everything that you needed. But isn't this kind of cool now that you can start interacting with your video by doing things based on what the mouse is doing? I kind of showed you how to do that here. Okay, but I do believe, let's see, I could come up here and let's say I wanted to snag my microphone. I could create a different one. Or like, let's go for the creepy eye shot here. There's the creepy eye shot. Okay, so you see I can grab whatever. Anytime I create another one, the other one goes right. The reason this one didn't go away, the OpenCV has a minimum width window that it will make. And if you make it smaller than that, then you're still ending up with the image from the last time around. So, you know, I need to make it big enough that it will erase that old one. Okay. All right. So now what do I need to do? I need to be able to kill that window if I want. And that was going to be the right mouse button up should kill the window. And so I'm going to come in and I'm going to quit out of that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another, I'm going to say if event is equal to CV2 dot. If event is equal to CV2 and then event, and what event am I going to look for this time? Right. I keep saying event. And then what am I going to be looking for? Right button up. So I'm going to press the right button. When I let the right button up, I want it to kill. I want it to kill the region of interest, all right? So I'm going to say right button up like that. And then what do I do? Well, in that case, EVT is equal to that event, which I think is something like 5 probably. All right, let's just try it and see if I just do that as a 5, if that event is a 5. Let's run it. Ooh, D9. Oh man, what is this nonsense? It must be like auto-filling that for me or something. I keep getting that happening. Okay, so we're going to try just to see. Ooh. Okay, this is getting serious. So why did, oh, equal, I'm sorry. I hope you guys saw that. Rookie mistake. Okay, I'm just going to right mouse button click down. Nothing happens because I didn't have an if statement for that one. Now I'm going to let that right mouse button up and nothing happened. And nothing happened because I did not print. I did not print event. I could print event or EVT there. Either one, because the function knows both of them. We'll kill the old one. Let's run it. Okay, right mouse button down, right mouse button up. Yeah, the right mouse button up is the number 5, just in case you need to know that. All right. But if you think about it, when that right mouse button comes up, at that point, EVT is going to be what? It's going to be 5. And so when you get down here, on the next time through this loop, EVT is not going to be 4. So what's going to happen at this point, the image is just going to freeze. It's not going to update anymore. And let's just see, but the window will still be there, all right? But it should just freeze at this point if I'm thinking of it correctly. So left mouse button down, drag, left mouse button up. I got my region of interest. It's live. Now I'm going to come over, right mouse button down. Everything is still copacetic. Now right mouse button up. Okay. Now, do you see that my region of interest froze? And why did it freeze? It freezes because EVT, when the right mouse button goes up, EVT is no longer 4. It no longer gets in this loop, so it's no longer able to update that video, because that region of interest, because it's not getting in the for loop. So what could we do though? What we could also do is we could actually explicitly say if EVT equal 5, which is the right mouse button up, what could we have happen there? Well, we could say CV2 dot destroy window. And what window do we want to destroy? We want to destroy ROI, like that. Okay, so if it sees the mouse button, the right mouse button come up, then it's just going to kill that window. Now, just because it's not 4 anymore, it's going to freeze it, and then when I let it up, then it's going to kill it. I like to live dangerously. Let's go ahead and make that 2 different. Now let's just do it like this. Okay, this should kill it. I think this should kill it, but we will see. All right, so now right mouse button down, drag, right mouse button up. I got my region of interest. Okay, now, that was left button down, left button up. Now right button down, everything's okay. Right button up. Killed both windows. Why did it kill both windows? What did I do wrong there? CV2.destroy window. If event is equal to 5, CV2 destroy window. Okay, it could be I need to do a try here. It could be that is crashing it the next time around because it's not there. So the first time it kills ROI, the next time through the loop, EVT is still 5. Let me do it this way. Okay. Do you see it's trying to kill a window? Like on the next frame, it's trying to kill the window and the window is no longer there. All right, so when I let that button up, now EVT is 5. It goes in, it kills the window. Next time through, EVT is still 5, but what? There's no ROI window. And so what I need to do is I just need to, after this, I need to set EVT equals 0, and that way it won't come back in this if statement unless the whole thing happens again. I hope that makes sense. And let me kill this. And let me run this. Okay. Left mouse button down. I drag. Left mouse button up. Got my region of interest. Got my region of interest. All right, now come over here. Right mouse button down. Nothing happens. Right mouse button up. Region of interest disappears. Main frame still here. There you go. You see, this is really fun. This is really easy. You just got to play around with it a little bit. And then actually it turns out to be pretty fun and pretty easy. And so I think that is really, really cool. So what we did this time is we learned how to process mouse clicks and process mouse events, and I kind of showed you a little bit more complicated one using the region of interest window and how to interact with it. So you've had kind of like 2 lessons now on how to process mouse clicks. I think next week I'm going to show you another way to interact with your graphic, interact with your video, and that's using slider bars so that you can change numbers by sliding a slider bar. And by using these slider bars, then you can go in and start tuning the things that you do. But you got to know how to do this, because for us to do artificial intelligence, you've got to be able to have means of interacting with your video window. One way you interact with your video window is with mouse clicks, and the other way you interact with your video window is using slider bars or tracker bars. And so next week I'll show you how to do tracker bars. I'll give you an assignment, and then after that we will start looking at doing some more interesting stuff. After that we will start beginning to approach the edge of actually doing artificial intelligence. Okay, guys, I hope you are having as much fun. I hope you're having as much fun taking these lessons as I am making the lessons. If you enjoyed the lesson, give me a thumbs up. Also, leave a comment down below, I am legend, or leave a comment, I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair, or just leave a comment, hey, thanks for the video. Your comments help give me YouTube juice, and that YouTube juice gets this video out in front of more people, and we're able to have more people learning how to code and fewer people watching silly cat videos. Okay, guys, I will let you go now. This is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.